It's Monday, which means today is the day that I answer your questions about copywriting, marketing, business building, and more. Today's question, it's a little bit of a long one, and I chopped off the beginning and the end because I wanted to keep it shorter, but I wanted to leave as much context as possible because we're going to be talking about copywriting as a side hustle, which I know that a lot of people have been curious about. And we're going to talk about it specifically in the context of paying off debt, because that could be one reason. Like any kind of financial gain that you might be aiming for would be a reason that you would want to do copywriting as a side hustle. So let me share the parts of this question that I thought were most relevant here. And then we'll dive into the answer for today's episode. So here's the question from LB. If you were broke, in a lot of debt, and had no business up and running, but a huge passion for copywriting, would you focus on working as many jobs as possible to get the debt paid off as quickly as possible, and then focus on building your dream business afterwards? Or would you go all in on becoming a great copywriter and starting your own business, knowing that the latter path can make you a lot more money in the long run anyway? That's basically my situation. I got myself into a bunch of credit card debt a few years back, letting myself get suckered into some stupid business courses. And then I tried to chase bad money with good money, but that only got me further into the hole, about $60,000 in total. I've been eager to get out of this debt for a long time now. At the same time, I've also had a long-held passion for copywriting and been studying it on and off for years. My dream is to be a successful direct response copywriter and have my own business. Now, here's the thing. I've got a great job these days, and that gives me a lot of time off, and they pay well. I'm able to cover all my living expenses and make minimum payments on my debt. However, if I want to pay off my debt as quickly as possible, I need to make some extra income in my time off. I only work for 2 weeks at my job, and then I have 3 weeks off, rotation work. What would you do? Would you spend all your free time becoming a good copywriter and starting a business? Or would you go the route of getting an extra job to pay off the debt first and then focus on building your business once you don't have the constant stress of financial troubles hanging over you? So, like I said, long question. We're going to go into the answer, hopefully in a lot of detail that makes it incredibly useful for you, for anybody, for the original person who asked this question. If you have a question you'd like to have answered in an upcoming episode of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets, the Mailbox Monday episodes, don't forget you can go to breakthroughmarketingsecrets.com/ask. That link is in the description, and you can submit your question there. All right, so with that, let's dive in. These are the proven direct response marketing, copywriting, and entrepreneurship success strategies you can use today to write your own ticket and create the life you want. I am Roy Furr, and this is Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. Now, here's today's breakthrough. All right, so today's episode is sponsored by me, of course. I want you to check out the link in the description to my training, Freedom Through Copywriting. Now, this is part of the BTMSinsiders training library, which is like Netflix for copywriting or marketing training. So you pay one low monthly fee, get instant streaming access to everything. This one is a great one. It's all about achieving financial and emotional freedom through copywriting, through the skill of copywriting. It's not just like, hey, if you become a copywriter, you can make a lot of money and enjoy freedom, right? It's about specific strategies for achieving financial freedom, because for many of us, including the person who asked today's question, having that financial freedom is a huge part of the emotional freedom. And the financial freedom first that you look to obtain is the freedom to become a freelance copywriter. And then the goal is to achieve freedom through copywriting. Now, I'm going to give a lot of details in the answer to today's question that can also help with that as well. But remember, if you'd like to go deeper, the link is in the description to Freedom Through Copywriting. So first things first, debt sucks. You're smart to get out of it. Debt sucks. And in fact, one of the things okay, I don't like screen people for using debt to pay for my training. And for that, I'm talking about like BTMSinsiders, fairly low cost training. When it comes to my mentorship, which is a much higher ticket offer, I don't like people using debt to pay for my mentorship. I want you to go out and get a client and to use that client income to pay for the mentorship, or to save up some money on the side and use that to pay for the mentorship, or whatever. because I know that going into debt, even if you are like, I am not one of those people who's going to help you open up a credit card to get your next, to put through your next investment in, I don't know, becoming a better copywriter or whatever. I don't know. I just don't agree with that. I've seen it taught. I've heard it taught. Hey, get this person, figure out how much access to credit they have so that they can spend a bunch of money with you. And hopefully they actually do the work to actually get, results. And in reality, people end up like the person who was asking this question, who ended up $60,000 in debt going through all of these business programs. And man, debt has a carrying cost, and that carrying cost, it eats away at your future lifestyle, especially if it's something like credit cards that are higher interest rates, where, man, you are often paying quite a bit of money on an annual basis just based on having that debt. And so it is a smart strategy to pay it off as soon as possible. In the context of all of this, I would say that a really good resource that you might want to check out, and this is super cheap and it's not mine, but super cheap, Ramit Sethi's I Will Teach You to Be Rich. It's just the book. Like you could get the audiobook, you could get the paperback, whatever. You could probably pick it up used, definitely less than $20. But Ramit Sethi's I Will Teach You to Be Rich is a great book that includes things like paying off debts. It also will recommend things like different types of investments. And in general, it is it's a very grounded strategy towards achieving financial freedom that I can recommend to you in the context of paying off debt. So with that, I do want to transition into this copywriting as a side hustle conversation. And actually based on the specific way that the question is asked. And actually, you might, like, copywriting might be a perfect side hustle, an alternative income source for you. Now, I don't know about other job opportunities, income potential, etc., but freelance copywriting can definitely be better than most alternatives that you could get as a part-time job, where you could work in this like 3 weeks available, 2 weeks not available thing based on your current schedule. The other thing is, like, as I looked at this, so many questions that I get from people for Mailbox Monday, when I read them, I have like corrected the language. I have corrected the writing before I read it to make it as useful as possible. The person who asked this specific question, they wrote well. They wrote well, and you can't see the punctuation and everything when you're watching me on video reading it, but they did a great job of chunking ideas and making it easy to read, and the communication was clear. It was well thought out. Everything about that, the writing style, indicates that this person can probably write at least a basic level of copy pretty well. The other thing is, like, with this availability of 3 weeks of availability followed by 2 weeks of not available, I mean, that is really great for copywriting specifically. So here's why that schedule might be perfect. Like, I got started with copywriting in my spare time, but my start was early in the morning, like super early in the morning. I would get up, or I'd stay up late at night, and I'd be writing copy, before dawn. I'd be writing copy after dark. I do it on the weekends, weekend mornings, etc. And I did it. I got my start in copywriting doing that, in addition to my full-time job. But man, it was not easy to do freelance copywriting that way. And one of the biggest challenges is when a client wanted to get on the phone and have a conversation. And I remember all sorts of conversations with clients that I had sitting in the parking lot at the office of my full-time job, like on lunch hour or during breaks or something, where I would be sitting there in the parking lot having a conversation with this client. And it was definitely an inopportune way to have those client phone calls, but it's what I had to do because of my work situation. Now, what you have is 3 weeks of workday availability followed by 2 weeks of not. And so 3 weeks freelance, 2 weeks not is great, or 3 weeks freelance, 2 weeks of your other job is great, because it gives you so much time during the workday for that. Now, if you're doing this, like, I would generally agree that I would at least be trying freelance copywriting as a side hustle in this scenario. And your schedule, if you're not the person who asked this question and you have some other schedule that has some kind of free time in it, figuring out a way to work it within your free time is great. Just acknowledging that you are going to have some challenges with client phone calls if you're busy during the entire workday. But the number one thing to remember, if copywriting is your side hustle, is communication. You need to be clear about when you are and aren't available. So when I was working with clients and I was mostly not available during the workday, I would tell them, hey, I have a full-time job. I'm doing this on the side. I expect to deliver at the same quality as somebody who'd be doing it during the workday. But in terms of accessing me on the phone, I'm not going to be available during the normal work hours unless we make special considerations for that, unless we make special accommodations for that. And so we can figure that out. Now, in the case of this person, obviously you would want to have the same type of conversation. Just say, hey, I am available for these next 3 weeks. And then these 2 weeks, I am not available at all. Like if you want to get a hold of me, you're going to basically have to wait until those 2 weeks are up. And when you do that, when you set expectations that are consistent with what you can meet, it actually is great for the relationship. If you were to make yourself available for 3 weeks and then disappear and they can't get a hold of you for 2 weeks, that's going to be a problem. But if you set expectations and then your behavior is consistent with those expectations, then it's going to work out great. And copywriting can absolutely be a great side hustle for that schedule or for a nights and weekends schedule or whatever, as long as you are clear about when you are and aren't available. Now, I do want to throw out one other option for this person. And this is just as relevant for anybody else that might be considering copywriting as a side hustle. This other option that you might consider is if you have flexibility to do it, maybe you want to consider getting a full-time copywriting job. Maybe you want to consider getting a full-time copywriting job. Now, I don't know your scenario. I don't know where in the world you are. I don't know anything about that. But if you have an opportunity to get a full-time marketing job, a full-time copywriting job, a full-time job inside an agency, a full-time job doing marketing, doing copywriting for a living, even if it's not like the perfect copywriting opportunity for you, especially if it pays as well or better than your current situation, it might be worth pursuing. And it's probably actually a better bridge than doing some rotation work to have a full-time job where you're really immersed in marketing for one particular client or employer for, on that ongoing basis. And so that may actually be a better bridge, but in the very short term, nothing would hold me back if I were in your scenario from just going after some level of freelance work to fill in the gaps, to add some income, etc. And so that's my answer to the question. Don't forget, there is that Freedom Through Copywriting link in the description. There will also be a link to BTMS Insiders if you'd like to learn more about that service. And there's a link to ask your question for a future Mailbox Monday episode. I'm Roy Furr. This is Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. Every episode, every day, I'm here trying to help you increase your marketing genius. And, figuring out these simple decisions as a marketer can be really useful, and it can increase your marketing genius. So I hope that you got a lot of value here, and I will catch you again in your next episode. I'll see you soon. Thank you once again for tuning in to this daily episode of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. Remember, check out the links with this episode for even more value. Now make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, and engage in every way you can to keep this show going and growing and delivering daily value to you. I'll catch you soon for your next big breakthrough.